All right, he literally just touched down in Knoxville, and he's here for y'all to do this panel. He is the wonderful Dave Foley, everybody.
Hi. How's it going?
You got played in with Rush? Oh my gosh.
A little, not only my fellow countrymen, but actually good friends of mine.
I love that. So,
any Rush fans?
Hey fans, NewsRadio is now available on Amazon Prime Video and is included with your Prime membership. Not a Prime member? Try it free for 30 days. You can get access to Amazon original content plus thousands of movies and shows, including NewsRadio, not to mention fast and free shipping on millions of products. Click the link in the description to start your free trial. Now, on to the panel.
okay, we got a couple. Do you have a favorite Rush song?
It's boring, but I'm going to say Tom Sawyer.
It's
like
boring.
Everybody.
It's a classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's a great one. So, yesterday, we're getting, okay, this is like Rocky Horror. We're getting yelled at up here. You were not able to make it yesterday. You're here today.
I am here today.
So, and thank you for doing this panel. So technically this is supposed to be the MASH panel. So all of my questions for you are about MASH. So.
Well, I just met Jamie Farr, so I'm ready.
Okay, perfect.
And I was in the airport with Loretta Swit when the first time our flight got canceled.
Yeah.
So, and she was lovely. You would have loved her. I'm sorry she's here. I had a great time with her in LaGuardia.
So we just have to live vicariously through you, is what you're saying.
Yeah, just get stranded in an airport with her sometime.
Right. I feel like a fair question that I could ask Jamie Farr and yourself is, you both have worn women's clothing, right? We can.
Yes.
Okay. Which of you and your fellow cast members would you say is the most beautiful woman out of
that'd be me.
Yes, far and above.
Yeah, there's no argument. There's no debating it.
Yes.
That's one of the. In fact, Kids in the Hall, we argued and fought about almost everything you could think of, but the one thing we all agreed on is that I was the hottest girl. And I have to admit that even I developed some crushes on me at times. So there were characters where I was reluctant to say goodnight to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I absolutely love this new season on Amazon. I'm sure everyone has already watched it, if not multiple times, right?
Anyone? Or how about anyone? Instead of everyone, let's go. Has anyone seen the new Kids in the Hall show? All right,
if you haven't, if you're here for MASH, that's great. We're still going to talk about Kids in the Hall.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, if we are in an apocalypse...
You didn't see Corporal Klinger's penis in MASH. That's for those of you who haven't seen the Kids in the Hall yet. That's something to look forward to.
Yes, episode 1 actually. You're really Yep, that happened. It's funny. We took a picture at the last convention when we were just kind of sitting in a scenario like this, and I'm apparently staring at you in a certain way, and people are like, "It's because she's seen him naked." That was the. I have, and good for you. I mean,
Well, thank you.
I forgot my question now. Okay, if we were in an apocalypto situation, what song would you be listening to on repeat?
Well, I think obviously it's Melanie's Brand New Key, which for those of you who haven't seen the new show or my penis, it was a show that's a sketch where I played a DJ after the apocalypse, and the only single he has left is Brand New Key by Melanie. Which is that, I've got a brand new pair of roller skates, you got a brand new key. And so he just plays that song over and over again in between his banter and his traffic reports that don't make any sense. So that apparently it's got Melanie trending on Twitter.
As it should.
Which
absolutely.
Is nice. Very nice.
That's one of my favorite sketches, and I adored the William Shakespeare sketch. I think that the amount of gore and blood that you guys provided us was next to none. Thank you for that.
I've spent an unusual amount of my comedy career covered in blood. Mm-hmm. And that one was the most blood I think I've ever encountered.
That was so much fun.
Mark McKinney wrote that one.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, that was a Mark sketch.
And it's funny now, since seeing this season, I can't take a bath without wanting it to be hot, hot. It's like I feel like new words are in my vernacular. I also, just to pivot a little bit, it's the 25th anniversary of The Wrong Guy.
Oh, right. That's another thing no one's seen.
Oh, great. Fabulous. This is homework, guys. We have so much homework. What was it like working with the director, David Steinberg?
David Steinberg was fantastic. For those of you who don't know, he was a huge stand-up comedian in the 70s. He was one of the main guest hosts of The Tonight Show. He had his own variety show. He was like a huge, and he's Canadian. And like all Canadians, I'm obsessed with who's Canadian. And he was one of them. So it was fantastic. I was such a fan of his growing up. To me it was very surreal. I remember going to meet him to interview him for the job, and I thought, I can't believe I'm getting to hire one of my heroes for this movie. And the movie never got released, but it's very funny. You can see it for free on YouTube. Somebody put, there's somebody with a copy of it right there.
Thank you.
Good for you. Yeah, and you get the delightful Jennifer Tilly in the bargain. So enjoy that.
Awesome. Another thing I wanted to mention is it looks like NewsRadio is streaming again.
That's what I just heard on Amazon Prime, I guess.
Yes.
I had no idea. Somebody mentioned it on Twitter, and I was very excited. Anyone see NewsRadio?
Okay, that we got him. We got him. All right.
Yeah. We're gonna turn you into a crowd eventually.
Any memorable moments working with some of the iconic cast, of course, like Phil Hartman?
Well, working with Phil was just it was like going to school. You know, he had perfect comedy timing, and you also had to have incredibly strong cheek muscles to avoid cracking when Phil was doing a scene. So to not laugh during a scene with Phil took a lot of facial control.
I can't even imagine.
Oh, I know. And to this day, I actually can't express any emotions with my face anymore.
Yeah.
Phil broke my face.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
It was Phil. Great. I guess the question is, and I'm sure that you hear it all the time, especially now with Kids in the Hall having a new season, do you think NewsRadio is something that could be reinvented without Phil?
I don't know. I think it would have to come from the show's creator, who is Paul Sims, who right now is running the show What We Do in the Shadows. Anyone seen that? There we go. Yeah, Paul's been writing that show with a bunch of other News Radio writers are working on it as well. But I think that would a full-on News Radio reboot, I think would have to come from Paul.
Okay.
Although I have talked to Paul about writing a short. I wanted to write a short series about Dave and Lisa from News Radio.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to write about Dave and Lisa living through lockdown in New York. And so it's just the two of them locked in their apartment for the whole series.
I hope that happens. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to ask about was you appeared on a couple episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I did.
Anybody? It's Always Sunny?
Sunny Philadelphia?
Yeah. Okay, we're getting them now.
Once we get through my entire IMDb page.
Yep. Absolutely.
We'll establish why all of you are here.
Yes. I wanted to know about working with them because I'm sure that's another situation where it's so difficult to keep a straight face.
Yeah. Well, I love working with those guys. They remind me a lot of the Kids in the Hall in that they really just do whatever the hell they want and they don't really listen to anybody. And so they just do whatever they think is funny. And and they come in with these great scripts. But then they also would do basically an entire improvised version of every scene as you're going along. So they would have all these. So they loved to ad lib, and so they were, very funny, and obviously very kind of edgy, and again just weren't interested in what anyone thought but each other. And somehow they were on a network that let them do whatever they wanted and still does.
Yeah. They're still doing their thing. Yeah. What a great show. I think this gentleman, did you have a question? Okay, grab the microphone. If you guys do have questions, we have a microphone. I know it can be a little bit intimidating, but whatever questions y'all may have, now is your chance.
Hi, Dave.
Questions or complaints. If you have complaints, I'll take those too.
I have a very serious question. Are you now, or have you ever been, a Canadian spy?
I am now and will always be a Canadian spy. And lately you guys aren't getting good reports. Well, I'm hoping things are improving, though.
And quickly, also, you were great in Sky High.
Thank you.
Another thing from his IMDb. Who knows Sky High?
Sky High.
Listen, Sky High fan right here. Yep.
Yep.
And what superpower would you like in real life?
Oh,
if you could take one?
superpower? At this point, because I'm 59 years old, I would like the superpower of being able to walk by a bathroom without going into it. I vaguely remember what that was like.
What a dream. I love that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your very serious question. All right.
Thank you.
Hello, good to see you again.
Good to see you again. I know I told you that I would ask you one question for the Q&A panel, and here it is. What was it like doing Celebrity Poker Showdown?
Doing Celebrity Poker Showdown?
Yes.
Well, that was fun. It was kind of, because we'd go up to Vegas. This was a poker show I hosted. And
With
I had
Phil Gordon?
no right to. With Phil Gordon, who's a poker genius. And just a regular genius, too, a math genius. But we'd go to Vegas for 2 weeks, and we'd shoot like the whole season in 2 weeks. And, so every day it would be, we'd do 2 tournaments. So every day there'd be like 10 tables full of celebrities, and a lot of them would be friends, a lot of them would be people I wanted to meet. Some of them were Angie Dickinson, who I flirted with outrageously.
Oh.
But it was really fun, and especially for me, because I when they asked me if I would host the show, I said, all right, as long as you understand, I don't know anything about poker, and I have no interest in learning.
Which is surprising because you also did the World Poker Invitational Tour back the same season when Phil Gordon won his WPT title for the Shooting Star Tournament.
Yes, that's true. Yes, I did. Well, at the Commerce Casino, yeah. That was the first time I'd ever played or learned anything about the game. But Phil was great to work with, and it was a really fun time.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
And go Canada.
All right.
Wow, how do you top Go Canada? I'm a firm believer. So I'm a big Disney fan, and I know you from A Bug's Life, obviously. It was one of Pixar's earliest movies, and I was kind of wondering, what that was like for you.
It was amazing because it was their second feature, right after following right up on Toy Story. So, and in fact, while we were making it, they actually had Toy Story 2 in production as well, which at the time, John Lasseter, who ran Pixar, was very adamant. He said he didn't like the idea of sequels, was dead against them. He said, I don't want to make sequels. He said there was no Snow White 2. Of course, now there is. And so he really didn't want to do sequels, but then as they were making Toy Story 2, he started really liking it. And got more excited because it was originally going to be straight to video, but they said they were making it, this was turning out so good, they said, all right, we're going to do it for theatrical, and then they really tunneled into it. But it was, like, I went to the audition just because I wanted to meet the guys who made Toy Story. I didn't think I was going to get hired for anything. And in fact, I went there to audition for the role of the stick insect that David Hyde Pierce played. And but when I went for the audition, I went with Vicki Lewis and Steve Root from NewsRadio during our lunch break, and they did their auditions. And just as I was about to go in, they came over and said, "Dave, do you mind if we bump you because Carol Burnett is here?" And I said, "Yes, bump me for Carol. If you didn't bump me for Carol Burnett, I would be offended. You bump everyone for Carol Burnett." And so I had to go back to work on NewsRadio, and I think John and Andrew Stanton felt guilty about bumping me. So they let me come back in to read again, but they'd already cast the sticks insect, so they let me read for Flick. And I think they were just doing it to be nice. I think they probably had somebody else in mind for it. But during the audition, I was reading the scenes, and suddenly John Lasseter and Andrew Stanton, who co-directed the movie, were turning to each other and going, "Oh yeah, I like what Dave's doing with that. If we did that, we could go back and rewrite this scene and add more stuff like that into this scene, and we could reshape this scene and that." And I had to go, "Guys, you haven't hired me." And they went and they sort of stiffened up and went, "Oh, that's right, Dave. Well, you know what? You'll be hearing from us." Right. And that's how I got hired for Phoenix.
But for the record, I think you did a great job.
It is doing voiceover, especially working for Pixar, because they're like, when you're doing voice work, you're really more dependent on the director than in any other format, because the director's the one who has the whole picture in their head, and they're the ones who know what all the visuals are and what all the action is, and they know what all the other actors are doing, because you never meet the other actors in a feature animation. They're usually just yourself alone. But so on that, to have John and Andrew there, and they would act out the whole movie for me. And like literally, they would play all the characters. They'd be running around the room, playing all the scenes out, and giving you such a sense of what was going on. And then when we would record, they played all the other actors in the scene. And they were both just so great at making you feel like excited and involved in the scenes. So I mean, that was like as a first big experience in animation. It kind of spoiled me for everybody else, because I worked with two of the greatest geniuses that have ever worked in animation,
Right.
which was fun. And thanks for your questions.
Oh, no problem.
Like, I guess to follow up on The Bug's Life, did Flick look exactly how he looked when you initially auditioned, or did they tweak Flick at all? I don't know how to ask that.
He looked mostly what he looked like in the movie. They changed him a little bit over there. Oh, I see a Flick. Is that a Flick back there? In the back? Nice. But what happened was, when you're recording your voice, they videotape you during the sessions, and they use those videotapes they send those to the animators to use as a reference in terms of facial expressions. So the weird thing was like how Flick, as the animation went on, adopted more and more of my physical mannerisms, and of course, he developed my stammer. And so as they would start showing me bits, I'd go, oh my God, that ant looks like me. And it was a very strange sensation. But yeah, they definitely softened and tweaked the look of the characters as we went along, and Flick definitely became more and more like me. Because I think I was recording sessions for it for over almost 2 years, I think. Yeah.
And you were saying, since you recorded your part on your own, was the first time you met a lot of the cast at the premiere?
Yes, like Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I only met at the premiere, and she was my love interest.
And Roddy McDowell.
And Roddy McDowell, yes, Roddy McDowell. And God, there's so many people. Alex Rocco, and Professor Smith from Lost in Space. I'm blanking on his name. Jonathan Harris. A lot of people, it was their last movie. It was Roddy's last movie, Jonathan Harris's last movie. I think, well, Alex Rocco, no, it wasn't Alex Rocco's, but a few other people. It was they died after the movie.
Oh.
So, and yet no one has ever said there was a Bug's Life curse. Just because they were all very old. But it was great. And getting to meet Phyllis Diller, oh my Lord. It was an amazing cast.
Awesome.
Kevin Spacey, yes, before anyone knew how creepy he was.
Right. Thanks for bringing that one up. Okay, nice. Let's pivot to our next
To be honest, he was
question.
pretty creepy back then, too.
Oh, God. Oh, we're learning here today. What's your name?
John, and sure do appreciate your being in town. Love the fact that there is such a fraternity with Canadian actors, and I'm just wondering, who's the most famous Canadian you're thrilled to have met? And are there any famous Canadians you wish or hope to cross paths with at some point in time, in terms of stage, screen, you name it?
Oh my gosh. Well, I guess the one Canadian I regret I never got to meet was John Candy. Yeah, he's fantastic. And over the years, I've become friends with all the other SCTV cast members. I don't know if you know, but John was originally on a Canadian sketch comedy show called SCTV. With Marty Short and Dave Thomas and Catherine O'Hara and Andrea Martin and Joe Flaherty and Eugene Levy, of course, yes. And I'm friends with all of those folks. And I almost met John Candy once. They were shooting the movie Canadian Bacon in my neighborhood. They were shooting at a hotel around the corner from my house in Toronto, in a neighborhood called Cabbagetown. And I'd seen the signs up that they were shooting, and I knew, and I kept trying to work up my courage to go down and introduce myself to John Candy. And so for several days I kept going, no, they're busy, I don't want to bother them. And finally I went over and talked to the set security. Said, "Hi, my name's Dave, and I'd love to say hi to John if I could." And they had just wrapped that location, and he had gone, and John had just left, and it was shortly after that John died. So he's the only cast member I never met, but I said, like, Dave Thomas is a very close friend, and he's told me a lot of great stories about John over the years. And it sounds like there wasn't a nicer, more fun guy to hang out with. So I wish I'd met him. Of those I've met, definitely meeting all the SCTV people was a huge deal for me. Who else? Great Canadians. I got to work with Alex Trebek, which was great fun. Everyone and who else? Oh my gosh.
I know Ryan Stiles on Showdown that one time. Ryan Stiles from Moose Line.
Ryan Stiles. Yep.
And
I know him.
You did LOL with Colin Mockery and
Colin
Tom
Mockery.
Green and all
Yeah.
those greats. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, we talked about David Steinberg from The Wrong Guy.
All your work with Justin Bieber when you
Justin
worked.
Bieber.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. I worked with Ryan Reynolds when he was 16. Ryan Reynolds played my son in a movie called Dick. Yeah, it was a movie. It was a comedy about the Watergate, and I played Bob Haldeman, Nixon's chief of staff, and Ryan played my son in that. And that was cool. And actually, I've recently wound up doing a Mint Mobile ad for Ryan, which was really fun because it was literally he posted them on Twitter. And I posted on Twitter and said, Ryan, I have to tell you, I really enjoy these ads. If I switch to Mint Mobile, can I be in one? And within 3 hours, we were shooting a Mint Mobile ad. So he works fast.
And did you switch to Mint Mobile?
I did.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Yeah,
Listen,
I'm going to keep my bargain.
Yeah.
Huh? Excellent, and affordable.
What a spokesman.
Yeah.
I love it. So where did your love for sketch comedy come from? Is there like a particular moment in your life that you realized that was your journey?
Oh, for sketch comedy? Well, I guess probably the two biggest influences were Monty Python as a kid. I mean, in Canada, we got Monty Python the same time it aired in England. And so I was watching it when I was 6 years old. Like my parents would keep us up to watch Python. And then after that, the next biggest influence was SCTV. Because I mean, that, again, I just listed all the people that were in that show. That was an amazing group of comedians. And so I used to watch that show. My whole family were obsessed with that. And of course, Saturday Night Live was a big influence. And also when I was a kid, there was a comedy duo out of Canada called Wayne and Schuster, who anyone here over 60 might remember from the Ed Sullivan Show a long time ago. But they were kind of the only Canadian stars at the time.
Do you have, and I know it's always so difficult to pick a favorite, but do you have a favorite Monty Python feel-good film that you like to watch?
My favorite, I think my favorite is still The Holy Grail. I think that's still my favorite. Yeah. You know, people will argue that Life of Brian is a better movie, and I can go sure, but boy, Holy Grail is funny.
Fair.
And I think Meaning of Life is a movie that kind of gets neglected. It's like, I remember when Kevin McDonald and I were movie ushers, Holy Grail was playing in the theater we worked at. And Kevin McDonald, by the way, is like one of the other kids in the hall. And I remember watching that, seeing the Meaning of Life, and Kevin and I were just so impressed. We go, oh my God, at their age, they're still so cutting edge and they're still doing great stuff. I can't believe they're doing it at their age. And now I'm 59 and I realize they probably weren't even 40 yet. Yeah, perspective changes. And then you die.
The meaning of life. So before we do wrap this up, can you maybe give us some insight into the future of the Kids in the Hall?
Well, assuming we stay alive, which
Fingers crossed.
So far everyone's looking pretty healthy.
Yes.
Right now we're, as you may know, we did do the reboot for Amazon. We're waiting to find out if Amazon wants to order some more of those. But in the meantime, we're in the initial planning for a tour. We're going to do a live theater tour.
In both like Canada and
the U.S.
and
Yeah,
US?
Canada, U.S., maybe even Europe. We don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, we're talking about that probably early next year.
Okay.
We're hoping.
Oh my gosh, I'm hoping too. That would be so wonderful to get to see you guys live.
Yeah, we're doing that. We're thinking, and there's some sort of random discussion of maybe doing another feature film somewhere down the road.
Okay, we'll take it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
But I keep telling you guys we can't we can't work too slowly on this because we're all really old.
But you guys like still got it. I mean, I feel like you guys are still right in your prime. So thank you so much.
Candy finally broke even. You can.
You're right.
Fair enough.
Although in real life, that movie is never going to break even.
Before we do wrap this up, any final thoughts you want to leave us with here today?
Final thoughts. Oh my God. Now it feels morbid when you say that.
It's my Jerry Springer question. Yeah.
I don't want to express them because what if they are my final thoughts?
And we were all here for them, and it was a moment for all of us.
What if just saying them out loud makes them my final thoughts? That's what causes me to keel over. I guess all I can say is I'm a very fortunate man. I started out 40 years ago with this guy Kevin McDonald, and didn't think it would last even 6 months. And that 40 years later, I'm still working with those guys, and 40 years later, I'm still allowed to try to make people laugh. And that's a pretty nice way to make a living if you ever get the chance. It's very, very rewarding. And I thank you all for being here, and I thank you all if you have laughed at any point in my career. I thank you.
Well, thank you for making us laugh. Thank you.
Cheers.
Dave Foley, everybody.
Thank you all.
Hi, this is Bonnie Gordon, and you're watching Fandom Spotlight. Make sure to like and subscribe before the self-destructs in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just kidding. Have fun and follow your fandom.